Hey, this is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. How would you like to know how to tell if a guy is flirting with you or if he's just playing games? Well, after years of coaching men and women, I can reveal something that's, well, not so astonishing. Men and women flirt in different ways. Yeah, I know that's not so mind-blowing, but it is important for you to realize. Why? Because both men and women tend to think that the opposite sex is going to flirt with them the same way that they flirt with other people. The problem is, if you expect to see them flirt with you the way you would flirt back, well, you're going to get confused and you might miss out on the signals that he's giving you. This is even more important if you're talking with him on the phone or you're texting or if you're just trying to make sure he's not gay. I can't tell you how many women have been chatted up by a gay guy who just wanted to shoot the breeze. So, do you think any of these are the signals that he's flirting with you? Looking down and away just when he's making eye contact with you? Maybe he plays with his hair. Or he laughs at you with your jokes. Well, you might be tempted to believe that these are all signs of a guy flirting with you, but they're actually signs of a woman flirting with a man. Yep, these are things you might do, but a guy might not. In fact, the only one on that list that he would do might be to laugh at your jokes. And of course, that's just to not seem rude, to be polite. We also do different things depending on whether or not we're feeling insecure in the moment or if we're shy. The fact is that guys don't really know how to cover this up the way that they used to or should. Most guys are pretty awkward at talking to women, as a matter of fact. Now, you can blame that on dad not being around to guide him and the over-reliance on cell phones as a proxy for flirting. So let's dig into this, and I'll show you the signs that a guy is flirting, and if you should believe what you're seeing. These are real signs, not those lame ones you usually see on those magazine covers. Flirt signal number one, he's bragging. This is one that most women mistake when it comes to guys. They think that since he's acting a little bit like a douche, when in fact he's actually just trying to impress you. Yeah, women roll their eyes and they make fun of it and all, but the truth is that this is something that guys do simply to impress a woman. If he's showing off at all, that's an indication that he wants you to find him important, dominant, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, and attractive. Men are pre-programmed to use their status to make you interested in him. Why? Because even though you might think that you don't care about his status, you do. If given the choice of an average, low-status man or a high-status man, all things being equal, and even if the low-status guy has more sex appeal, you'd probably wind up more interested in the high-status male. This is a throwback to evolutionary processes and way back to those days when we were in tribes of just a couple hundred people. In a group that small, you wanted to be sure that you had the best chances for a long life and lots of little tribelings you could support and feed. Guess how you did that? That's right. By hooking up with the most high-status guy, you would have had a sweet reserved seat at the caveman buffet. Back then, high status meant well-fed, and it isn't far from that today. Let's get clear on this right now. I'm not saying all women are gold diggers or anything like that. Still, science has shown time and time again that women prefer men with the promise of a future ahead of them. In one of the more interesting studies they did, they showed pictures of men to women, showing them in various uniforms, everything from airline pilots to doctors, all the way down to a guy in a McDonald's uniform. Guess who the women rated as more highly attractive? I'll give you a hint here, it wasn't the McDonald's guy. We are instinctively attracted to people who will help us keep our DNA in the gene pool. It isn't sexy to admit it, but you now know what's going on underneath the game. Flirting signal number two is he teases you. Now, this one's confusing for a lot of women who think that the guy would be falling all over himself as he flirts with you. Some guys do, but they're usually the more desperate guys, and you can probably sense them a mile away. When a guy finds himself attracted to you, he's going to give you a hard time. It's a natural instinct for a confident guy. I've coached men to do this, in fact, because of this effect. Why does he tease you? Primarily because it triggers that dominant submissive game that we know so well. You may have seen cats playing this game. Every kind of cat, from a tabby kitten to a lion on the Serengeti. They bite at the base of the neck and they pin each other down. And this is also why you probably love it when a guy pulls your hair, FYI. Teasing is the same kind of status play. It lets us figure out what the chemistry is between us. When you tease and he doesn't play, watch out. You're not going to get turned on by this guy, no matter how much you try. Remember, your instincts help you screen out the losers. No matter how lonely you are, don't ignore those signals. Flirting signal number 3, he's pointing at you. Well, okay, guys instinctively do a peacock dance when they're flirting. It starts at the very first moment his eyes catch you. He'll turn his eyes, then his head, then his body towards you. This is the first stage of attraction as he aligns himself towards you. His physical body first starts to calibrate with you as being his true north, just like a compass. He'll turn his feet towards you when he's speaking to you. Now this one's fairly obvious, but you might not see it if you weren't looking. He'll point his toes towards you as a sign of flirting interest. Then he'll point to his manly parts. Yeah, as obviously weird and maybe just a tiny bit creepy as this is, he does it. He'll find ways to pose that expose or project his crotch towards you. He'll put his hands on his hips with his fingers pointing towards Johnsonville. He'll also spread his legs if he's sitting opposite you, or he'll prop a leg up if he's standing next to you. Don't worry, it's completely below his level of awareness too. Flirt signal number 4, he's doing the triangle stare. When we look at people we're trying to take in, or maybe taste with our eyes, we do a very noticeable pattern of glances, and I call this the triangle stare. We start by looking from eye to eye, then down to the lips, and then back up again, and it forms this triangle. Boop, boop, boop. And usually several times in the same conversation. This is one that women do as well, so it's worth noting. If you want to send a flirt signal to him, make sure you trace a triangle slowly from eye to eye and down to his mouth, and he's not going to miss it. This triangle of attention gets bigger as we become more attracted to you. We'll glance down at your cleavage and in maybe further south if we think we can get away with it. You'll also notice him blinking a whole lot more, but don't fall for that bit about his eyes dilating if he likes you. Sure, this can happen, but it's not a reliable sign. It could just be really dark or he's high, not a reliable signal if you ask me. Now, while it's extremely helpful to know where your guy is at in the game, it also doesn't hurt to actively trigger his feelings of attraction for you. If you can do that as well, then you've got all the bases covered. I mean, think about it. Not only could you tell if he's trying to rope you in, you'll also be sure that he's attracted enough to give you all those flirting signals that you need in the first place. And it's all about creating irresistible desire in him and focusing it on you. But if you don't know if he loves you, you got to find out. Go on over to datingadviceguru.com/does he love me. That's datingadviceguru.com/does he love me. Take my love test. It's a little quiz that'll tell you whether or not he really does dig you. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and post your comments below. I know that's a whole big list, but I know you can handle it. Subscribe, like, and comment. What more could there be? This is Cavallo from Dating Advice Guru. As always, what do you got to do? You got to live and love with passion.